Hello everybody, how are you doing? Good, I hope. So, Fortnite. It's far, and I mean far from a mystery that when it comes to anything related to Fortnite, I get a bit, let's say, enthusiastic. Which is precisely the reason for the topic of today's video, Fortnite collabs. Let's be real here, Fortnite has pretty much every major franchise under the sun in their game by now. Like, we have quite literally come to a point where pretty much any IP you could think of has some connection to Fortnite at this point. It's like the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game, but with Master Chief and Goku instead of Kevin and Bacon. We've already got so many beloved characters and franchises in, so let's be greedy and ask for more, baby! That's right, for today, I'll be going over some collabs that I'd like to see in the future of Fortnite. Now, I could do the boring route and just list off potential franchises, but frankly, that's boring, and you all should know by now, I really like to fanboy, so, no. We'll be going a step further. We'll be going over things like potential sets, base skins, styles, you know, stuff like that. So buckle up, grab your chug jugs, and get ready to inflict my friend Apollo with some psychic damage, because without a further ado, let's talk about what collaborations I'd like to see in the future of Fortnite. So, before we get to the first entry on the wishlist, I'd like to quickly say that a good chunk of this video was inspired by a conversation me and chat had on stream. So if you're wanting to possibly be involved in discussions similar to this one, make sure to stop by the stream whenever I'm live. Sometimes we chat about the logistics of why mutants are feared while average heroes aren't. Or we'll be discussing something why Skibidi Toilet Wave 2 would lead to the heat death of the universe. You know, average conversations to have in the glorious year of 2025. Oh, and small plug quick, but if you're planning on picking up anything in the Fortnite item shop in the near future, please consider using creator code Yerocmai as your supporter creator code. I'd greatly appreciate it. Oh, and please tag me whenever you use it. I've been curious about what things people have been buying when using the code, so thanks. Anyway, on to the topic of the video. So, if you've been around the channel for a while now, you know that there's one franchise that single-handedly rivals my love for those funky superheroes, video games, and anime. That's right, it's Transformers! I'd like to apologize directly to your ears for that ungodly noise I made, I am so sorry. Now, we've already gotten 4 legacy characters along with 1 Fortnite original design, but come on, this is Transformers. 4 characters is a small number compared to the vast amount of characters this franchise has to offer, let alone the different variations of these characters from different continuities. So, I think us getting another wave of Transformers is a fairly reasonable request. Now, the real question is, who would get in? We've already got Optimus, Megatron, Bumblebee, and Optimus Primal, so who would logically be next on the list? Using what we know from previous collabs that have a second wave, we can guess that we'd get probably 2 to 4 new characters. But for the sake of making this an actually fun discussion, we'll be going with the maximum of 4. And looking at the previous wave, not including the Battle Bus skin, we had 2 Autobots, 1 Maximal, and 1 Decepticon. But, because Primal was a tie-in for the Rise of the Beast movie, we'll be swapping out that Maximal slot for another Decepticon, which makes it 2 Autobots and 2 Decepticons. Which is perfectly balanced. Now, onto the real juicy part. Who would be the 2 Autobots and 2 Decepticons? Well, looking at other games that Transformers has had previous collaborations with, along with the most currently marketable characters from the series. So, with all that in mind, I think Wave 2 would consist of Elita 1, Grimlock, Starscream, and Soundwave. My reasoning for these picks are, Elita was a main character in Transformers 1, Grimlock is a fan favorite, and let's just be real here, would be the coolest thing in game. And then Starscream and Soundwave are both popular characters and are the super obvious picks for new Decepticon reps. And as for any other content we could get with a Wave 2, I'd love to see a proper Transformers location as a POI, something like the Ark, a space bridge, or even Iacon itself. Next up on the list is a collab that has kind of already happened, just not in the way I'd like. It's a Fantastic Four. Look, you guys know the drill, I love the 4, so I'll spare the context here, but I'm kind of shocked and even appalled that the 4 weren't skins in the season that was entirely about Doctor Doom. Even if they were technically in the season, like, look, okay, I know they're apparently hyper dead in Fortnite lore, but come on. It's the Fantastic Four. Like, come on, man. Like, I saw this on the season's launch and thought, wow, that's pretty hilarious. Good thing they'll be revived somehow and will become skins later in the season because, come on, it's a season about Doom. No way they'll forget about Doom's arch enemies, right? Right? Oh, how naive I was. Anyway, with the Fantastic Four having a resurgence between Rivals and the movie releasing in the summer, I think this one is bound to happen, right? As for a set, we'd obviously get all the four, ideally with different styles, like a flame on, flame off style for Johnny, a trench coat for Ben, lab coat for Reed, and maybe a pseudo-invisible style for Sue. Like, obviously she couldn't be invisible, but maybe like a somewhat transparent blue, kind of like how the action figures for her have handled it. The four would also fit perfectly for a TMNT style mini pass with emotes, gliders, that sort of thing. And maybe you could even throw in like Galactus as a bonus skin or something. Another thing I'm sure you all know by now, but I love me some horror games. So this will come as no surprise, but I'd like to see another wave for Resident Evil. There are so many cool characters and designs in Resident Evil that it's almost impossible to choose who would be in its umbrella. It's the Umbrella aligned characters. Ideally, it'd be a wave of 4. And I know that the other 2 Resident Evil bundles only had 2 characters, but come on, it's Resident Evil. So, working with that in mind, I think we should get a wave consisting of Ada Wong, Wesker, Hunk, and my personal favorite antagonist from the games, Nemesis. While the characters from the first 2 waves made perfect sense as reps for the first 2 waves of Resident Evil, I think we're at a point where we should really start including some of the monsters and villains from the series, and I'd be willing to argue that Nemesis is probably the most iconic and most popular BOW from the franchise. So, he makes perfect sense. And, he uses weapons, so him holding guns isn't as jarring as seeing Mr. X with a Glock. As for the rest of the set, they're also kind of a given. Ada is a fan favorite, Wesker is the Resident Evil villain, and Hunk is Hunk. And come on, are you telling me you wouldn't want Looming Dread blaring as you're running out of the storm? Precisely. Speaking of Capcom, while we're only like barely halfway through the list, this one is probably my most wanted collab and has been for a long time now. If you're one of the radical fellows who was in chat the day we talked about this, you probably already know what I'm about to say, but that's right, baby, it's Devil May Cry. Whoa! Okay. For those who don't know, Devil May Cry is one of, if not my all-time favorite video game franchise. So, needless to say, getting Dante in as a skin would be a big, and I mean big deal for me. The set almost entirely makes itself too. You could have different styles, like one based on his DMC5 appearance, DMC3 appearance, etc., with a toggle for his Devil Trigger style that reflects the Devil Trigger from his respective game. His harvesting tool and backbling are Rebellion, obviously. He could come with an emote where he twirls Ebony and Ivory into the jackpot pose, kinda like the one from Monster Hunter World. His glider could be his Devil Trigger wings, with a reactivity that turns Dante into his Devil Trigger form if you're using him with the glider equipped. And because Epic loves throwing in festival instruments into bundles, throw in the Nevin guitar Devil Arm as a guitar for, festival, and boom! You got yourself the perfect Dante set. Now, I want to point out that this one is very likely to happen, maybe even soon. Not only do we have that DMC Netflix anime coming up, in fact, as of writing this portion, the series drops tomorrow, but he's also been leaked several times over the last few years. So there's a chance that by the time this video is finished, he might already be in, making this entry completely null and void, so, neat. Oh, and it would be a huge shame if we don't get any jam tracks with him. Like, at least give me Devil's Never Cry, Taste the Blood, or even Devil Trigger. Oh, and we'd obviously need Mr. Motivation himself in at some point. Next up is technically 2 separate, barely connected entries, but they're both comic book characters who happen to be demon adjacent, so to save some room for the list, I'm lumping both to this entry. That's right, you probably guessed, it's Spawn and Hellboy. I've brought up Hellboy in a few different videos now, so I'll keep the reasoning as to why I want him in short, but man, I love Hellboy. He's one of my all-time favorite characters in general, and I'd love him in Dead by Daylight, and the same applies to Fortnite. In fact, with Fortnite, I think we could have some real fun with Hellboy as a collab. Between Invincible, the cel-shaded Marvel skins, and now the Negan skin from the Walking Dead comics, I think Epic's progressed well enough on their cel shading that I think they should directly adapt to Mike Mignola's art style for the Hellboy skin. Basically what Hellboy Web of Word did with its art style. In fact, side tangent here, but I think this is one of the best looking comic book games ever made, and I am willing to die on that hill. It's up there with Ultimate Spider-Man for me. Anyway, for his set, he could have the right hand of Doom or Excalibur as his pickaxe. His backbling could either be the Crown of Apocalypse or maybe even just the BPRD symbol. Now, for Spawn, pretty much the same thing as Hellboy. I love Spawn, and man, I wish he was more prevalent outside of comics and the millions of action figures that McFarlane puts out. His set is pretty self-explanatory too. His backbling would be K7 Letha, which is his cape. His harvesting tool could either be his axe or his sword, or even both as a dual-wield one. And you could even throw in an alternate style in the form of his classic suit and colors. You know, on the note of Spawn actually, there's a very interesting piece of news that dropped while I was conceptualizing the first draft of this video. You see, Todd McFarlane recently said that he wants Spawn in Fortnite. So maybe we'll actually see him in sometime over the next year. Maybe even like Fortnitemares. Or maybe it'll be like that Spawn movie that's been in development hell for over a decade. So, knowing Todd, it's 50-50. For the final collab we'll be talking about today, it's probably one of the most highly requested collabs out there, so I'm sure this is a reoccurring entry across other people's list, but it's Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, we could just talk about getting the Core 4 animatronics as skins and call it a day, blah blah blah, video over, but that's kind of a lame way to end the video, so while getting the Core 4 as skins is probably the most realistic option for a FNAF collab, I wish to offer you an alternative. You see, FNAF has, needless to say, a lot of characters, all ranging from different stories across the franchise, so let's take advantage of that, and have a collab of 4 skins, with each representing a different era of Five Nights at Freddy's. With this in mind, I think the options for skins would be Freddy Fazbear, because duh, Springtrap, Ennard, and Roxanne Wolf. But we're not done quite yet, because if FNAF gets into Fortnite, it better be treated as a huge deal. So I hope they won't stop at just doing the 4 skins as representatives, instead they'll throw in some extra styles. Roxanne could have her Shattered and Ruined appearances, Ennard could have a mask-off style with maybe a Molten Freddy inspired look, Springtrap could have the movie's Yellow Rabbit design, along with Burntrap as an alternate, and then Freddy. Freddy should be given the same treatment that Goku got for the Dragon Ball collab. So give him 4 different styles to choose from, including his FNAF 1 design, which would be the default look. He could have Withered Freddy to represent Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Nightmare Freddy to represent Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and then, because he's a fan favorite, Glamrock Freddy. Now, I know, technically speaking, Glamrock Freddy is different enough that he should be his own skin, but come on, he's technically still a Freddy Fazbear, and it'd be funny to see this goober holding a pump shotgun. But yeah, those are some of the Fortnite collabs I'd like to see in the future. I've honestly already got some ideas for a part 2 to this list, so if you like this one, please let me know. On top of that, let me know what collabs you'd like to see in the future of Fortnite. I'd love to talk about some more possible collabs in the comment section with you guys. Also, side note, but sorry for the long wait for this video. I've been hella busy recently, so this video took a lot longer than I expected it to. But we should be back on a fairly frequent upload schedule going forward. And as always, if you're looking to support the channel, you can now become a true supporter through the membership. Members get exclusive content such as loyalty badges, super cool emotes, early access to new videos, along with a shout out at the end of every video, and other various perks. And like I mentioned earlier, if you play Fortnite and would like to support me through that, make sure to use code Yerocmai in the item shop. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, this better not be fake, please, or else I'm gonna explode. Please, I beg of you, Epic.